Tate Dakota and also Tate Pala, but also acknowledge members of the committee. And thank you most sincerely, Chair, for the opportunity to come and do this briefing. Because indeed, it's a very grave situation, and I think we appreciate the opportunity to also come and brief the committee, and are happy that you also have invited the media to make sure that we can reach as many people as possible. Chair, I won't take time to really speak about the issues because we want to give a briefing. So we'll quickly give you a background of the current intervention, which is our 26th intervention in peacekeeping as a country. We've been everywhere. We've been to Haiti. Recently, we were in Mozambique. So it's really the work that as a country have been doing on a consistent basis, being part of AU, being part of SADC, but also being part of the world. That's why I say we're even from Haiti. And then we'll speak about the mandate of this one because we've been asked to specifically speak about this one, maybe not about the other missions that we've been involved. But I think more important, because we've been asked to speak about DRC, to give a sense of areas of operations, what is happening where, so that again members have a sense of where things are. And there's been also matters that have been, and that's why I'm very grateful that we have this opportunity, Chair, that have been really concerning the country and the nation in terms of capabilities that were pledged there. I think also to give us an opportunity to explain that this is a SADC mission, it's not a South African mission. We'll explain how these missions work, that it's not us as South Africa who's in the DRC, but we are there as part of a bigger mission whereby the capabilities are capabilities that come from the 16 SADC countries. So it's a SADC operation. But more important also, what brought us here and that brought this very sad situation, the capture of Goma. We'll explain again what happened in Goma, and as I say, on that very day, when there was this attack on Goma, I happened to have been in the area and was able to visit the different camps in Goma, was able to go to our Air Force, was able to go to our operations, but I was also able to meet the different forces that were in Goma. And what is currently keeping us very busy, Chair, is a repatriation of our remains from Goma. And I think when we explain what the situation is, we'll explain why it is an issue, because when Goma was attacked, the runway was completely destroyed. So we're working out with you and to make sure that we can relieve countries, communities. Parents have been contacting me to say, you know, they're like sitting in the water. If you have a deceased, you want to close the chapter and move on. But if you're not sure when you're going to have burial, it really brings more grief. And that's, for us, also a big priority. Then we'll also conclude, and I do hope as we speak, that we'll also be able to speak about the Friday meeting which we had at SADC, because this is a SADC mission, and that's SADC that is guiding the processes, and it's not because it's not a South African mission, Chair. So, Chair, so I don't go too long. I'm going to ask the General and his team to just speak to the items that we've identified, but as I say, we'll respond to more items that we will need to speak to according to what the members will require. So, Chair, through your permission, can I ask the General to...
Thank you, Minister, Honorable Chairs, and Honorable members of the Joint Standing Committee. I just want to apologize first because it is not in my culture that I should come in when the meeting is on. So I request your indulgence on that. But on this specific point, Honorable Members and Chair, I want to indicate that maybe one should start off by indicating that the presentation today was prepared initially for the closed session. But when we learned that it's going to be an open session, we were very elated. Elated in the sense that we were given the opportunity to be able to speak to our nation, to be able to share with our people in terms of the challenges that we were facing. But we are also deprived of the opportunity to share with the committee in terms of the details that we have prepared for this session. However, we are going to provide as much detail as possible that will not compromise the lives of our people. We will be doing so cognizant of the fact that security is a collective responsibility, and therefore it's not a partisan issue. And as such, we have now toned down the presentation not to deprive the committee of the information. And we're still open, Chair and honorable members, to be there to present the details of the entire deployment. Chair and honorable members, I want to indicate that we are going to start off by outlining what each one of us should be interested in. What is it that is there in the national interest for our national security to be providing to the nation? And secondly, why should the Defense Force be involved in such deployment? And those issues are going to be raised by the presenter in that our foreign policy hinges on the world and the continent and the region that is free of any form of strife, and therefore peace and security remains the cornerstone of that policy thrust. Now, the Defense Force involvement in that part of the policy thrust, defense is a tool of diplomacy as well. And therefore, we get involved because of the understanding that military or war is politics by other means, and that had been articulated by those who came before me, that understood that you will use your defense to enhance your diplomacy. Chair and honorable members, I am not going to take much as though I'm going to give the history lessons, but I just want to indicate that the deployment of the South African National Defense Force had been as a result of the SADC summit that took place in Angola. And that summit decision had made it possible for all SADC members to contribute troops, and those troops are the ones that formed part of Summit DRC. South Africa is amongst the troop contributing countries, with Tanzania and Malawi, and therefore this deployment was not solely a bilateral deployment between South Africa and the DRC, but it was a deployment of SADC, as the minister had indicated. So, Honorable Chair and honorable members, I've got the General Officer Commanding of the Operation Headquarters, Major General Godfrey Tulare, who will then give a rundown. He tried to tone down the presentation because it was prepared for the closed session, and as such, if there are gaps in the presentation, we will be able to fill in those gaps within the parameters of security considerations. Thanks, Chair. Thanks, honorable members. Yeah. If you allow, General Tulare can continue with the presentation.
It's the report we want.
Thank you, Chief. Honorable chairpersons, honorable members of the Joint Standing Committee on Defense, as well as the Portfolio Committee on Defense, the Minister of Defense, and the Deputy Ministers, good day. To start with, the SADC Extraordinary Troika Summit, plus the SADC Troika of the 8th of May, 2023 in Windhoek, Namibia, amongst others, took a decision to deploy, that is the SADC mission in the Democratic Republic of Congo, which is now we know as the mission being SAMI DRC, due to the M23 activities and the deteriorating security situation. The 43rd SADC Summit of the Heads of States and Government, which was held on the 17th of August 2023 in Luanda, Angola, endorsed the mandate for the deployment of a SAMI DRC for a strength of a brigade-size force. Subsequently, all SADC member states were invited to participate in the SADC effort to support and assist the DRC by pledging and providing the determined and required military capabilities as two contributing countries, which South Africa was one of them. The contribution required to contribute to the acts of intensified hostilities perpetrated by numerous armed groups, including M23, and negative forces resulting in the gross deterioration of security and humanitarian situation in the Eastern DRC. The President of the Republic of South Africa approved the pledging of capabilities and authorized the SANDF deployment to the DRC through the presidential minutes in 23 and in subsequent informed the Parliament. The mandate of the SAMI DRC, which is the mission as it is known, is that SAMI DRC deployment is mandated by the African Union and the SADC Standby Force, Peace and Security Architecture to do the following. One, to support the Democratic Republic of Congo to neutralize negative forces and armed groups in the Eastern DRC to restore and maintain peace and security in order to create a secure environment. To support the FRDC by providing logistic land, air, and maritime assistance in order to enhance its military operational capabilities. To provide support efforts to the government of the Democratic Republic of Congo to continue creating a conducive environment for humanitarian assistance and providing humanitarian relief to the population. To protect the critical infrastructure in the Eastern DRC, mainly to protect the civilians, their properties under imminent threat of the armed groups. The deployment in the Democratic Republic of Congo, which is the Eastern DRC, the SANDF has got two components. We have got the forces that we have pledged forces and contributed forces to the SAMI DRC. And previously, before that, we were also and currently are contributing forces that is for MONUSCO. So we are participating in two missions which are co-located in the Eastern DRC. The intent of the SADC regional support, it is mainly to restore peace and security, and the mission revolves around the protection of civilians, as well as to establish a favorable security condition for maintenance of peace and stability. We also do assist in the stabilization of the Democratic Republic of Congo forces by means of training programs. A brief with regard to where we are today. The M23 rebel group had over a period of time been continuously conducting attacks on villages. The FRDC, there was a Lendo militia, as well as the SAMI DRC forces. This includes the South African, the SANDF forces, the forces from Tanzania, as well as Malawi. Over the period of November 2024 to January 2025, there had been a number of attacks on villages in the Masisi areas, with successful counterattacks by the FRDC. The control of the areas had been changing hands between government forces and the rebel group. Then on Thursday, the 29th of January, M23 launched a heavy early morning dawn attack at 05:30 on our positions, that is in Sake, as well as the adjacent areas. And this fighting took place and lasted, that is, for 3 days. SAMI DRC fought gallantly and defended their position and bases in Sake area up until today. Unfortunately, the SANDF, we did lose, that is, some members. Over the period of 3 days, that is from the 29th of January, fierce fighting by our soldiers, the M23, also suffered heavy casualties. The M23 then got reinforcement forces that took, that is another route from the north of Goma, an advance that is from Kibati, and subsequently that is to Goma. Our force elements positioned at the airport then deployed in forward position on the Kibati route, and they fought gallantly for 2 days to repel the advance of M23 to the Goma airport, and subsequently that is to the town of Goma. And then on the Monday, the 13th, Goma airport and the town, it came into the hands of M23. The M23 and the Summit DRC, together with MONUSCO forces, are now positions that is at the Goma airport. However, we still have forces that are still based in Sake. There is currently no confrontation or hostilities between Summit DRC as well as the M23. The truce that was established between the commanders on the ground is currently holding and being respected by all parties. Currently, the priority we are working on day and night is the repatriation of the bodies of the deceased, as well as the injured back home, as well as including to those that are from Malawi and Tanzania. We have engaged the United Nations in New York, as well as MONUSCO in the Democratic Republic of Congo with regard to this repatriation, and we are continuously pushing them. We have engaged SADC through the Secretariat in Gaborone and continuously engage them on a daily basis in order that we are able to bring back that is our deceased as well as those that are injured. We have developed our own plans to conduct the return of the bodies, that is the injured, for both, that is from the United Nations and from SADC. And currently, this is being addressed, that is by the United Nations and SADC, in order that it can come into fruition. The recently held summit in Harare, Zimbabwe, resolved to prioritize the repatriation of Summit DRC injured and diseased. The summit called for the immediate dispatch of ministers and chiefs of defense and troop contributing countries to the DRC to ensure that the Summit DRC troops are safe and facilitate immediate repatriation of the deceased and the injured. Thank you, Chair.